Good morning and welcome to another episode of At Your Service. I'm your host, Karen Graves, and with me is the star of the show and the leader of one of the largest departments in the city, Chris Moore.
I think stars are pretty big reach.
I mean, hey, you and your people are the stars of the city. They're the people that we see every day out there and about making this town keep ticking pretty much. So with your guys and with public safety, I mean, you guys are all definitely the stars. So today, we're back to talk about some of the things that you do to keep the city running. So I know it's still, is today the first day of fall?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay, losing track of time. I know it's still fall, but you're already preparing for it. Winter.
We are
coming.
Winter preparedness doesn't really stop.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No.
And fall is a lovely season. I know that everybody tends to love fall a lot, especially in this area, but it's a pretty short season. It seems like relative to other seasons, it kind of comes and goes pretty quickly. And we're going to already get into that weather where we got to start thinking about safety, road safety, and all the things that you do to help keep us moving. So
we're ready
into it.
Let's go.
So let's talk about last winter. Let's start with last winter. So how much salt? Last winter was a more wintry winter, I would say. So did we use a lot of salt last winter?
So we used about just shy of 2,700 tons.
Okay.
Which, to put that into perspective, we use on average about 3,100.
Okay.
In a winter. So it was slightly below average. But what happens in some cases is we get one or two big storms that really they get our attention as human beings,
I think
and they also can eat up a bunch of salt.
True. And we did have one really big storm.
Yeah.
I remember driving into work, and it was a big one. It was like right after New Year's, actually. So okay, well so. How much salt do we typically purchase annually? Do you base it off the year before? Do you base it off pricing? Both?
So we base it on what we have in the barn. Okay. So we try to always keep, I don't want to see the back of that barn. I never want to see the back.
Right.
So we ended last year with about 4,000 tons on hand. We like to have the ability to purchase enough to give us 6,250 tons. The reason I say 6,250 tons, that is the biggest winter we've had in the last 30 years.
When was that? Do you remember?
Is it on my list even? 0203. We used 6,566 actually. In 0708, we used 6,300. We've had a couple 6,000.
6,000 years.
So we shoot for 6,250. So, if we have about 4,000 sitting around, we want to make sure we have the ability to purchase another 2,250. So what we do is, it would have been last late March, early April. We start working with the state of Ohio. The state helps purchase salt for any jurisdiction in the state that wants to piggyback on them.
Oh.
So we can all get better prices.
Pricing, yes.
Yeah. So we start working with them late March, early April to tell them what we need for this winter. And then we work to get the contracts in place over the summer. And then we start purchasing it sometime in September to slowly fill up the barn.
How do you know how much salt you use? Do you weigh it as you put it in the trucks?
No, we know that a truck plus or minus is leaving the gate with about 7 tons on it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Interesting. Yeah. So salt has its limitations, though.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what those limitations are when it loses its effectiveness.
So at 21 degrees, you start to notice it. The salt doesn't go as far is what we usually say. You're putting down more salt to get the same effect. Once you get down to 15 or below, it really starts to lose its effectiveness. It just, especially at night, during the day, even when it's nasty cold out, if you can get a little bit of black pavement showing through, with a little bit of sunlight, even at cold temperatures, salt will do the trick. But at night, you get below 21 degrees and you put the salt down and you're kind of waiting for it to do something.
Right. It has
So
other limitations too. One for the environment. I
yeah,
know it can be impactful on the environment. Want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah. So what you don't, we are very mindful of trying to put salt down the center of the road, trying to put it down to the speed that doesn't have it bouncing out to the edge immediately. You want it to work and get diluted before it goes into the waterways. So, we use some different pre-wetting chemicals to make it more effective and let it, I'll say, stick a little better.
Sure.
But we want to make sure we're not dumping large quantities of undiluted rock salt just right into a ditch.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I know that we just recently purchased a new brine making equipment.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So, what's the backstory on how we came about to get to the place where we could purchase that? I know that we did receive a grant. So, how did you work through that process?
So we applied for the grant back in sometime in 2023, going from memory, and we weren't awarded the grant. So we continued to use, we got some old brine making equipment from the local ODOT garage, and it wasn't, it had its limitations. It wasn't as precise as we wanted. You kind of experimented with what the right mixture was. But it did help us realize that it can be useful. So we continue along using this, and we got a call from Ohio EPA that said the grant you applied for, we now want to award that up to $75,000. So we started doing all the paperwork with them. We found what we needed for the stuff we bought was around $92,000. Right. So we have a little bit of local money coming out of our budget.
So this sounds a little bit more extensive than what I'm used to seeing. So it's more than just like a tank that has basically the solution and it just kind of falls out the back. It sounds like it might be more advanced.
So this is what makes the solution.
Oh wow!
So it's a solution maker that would be in our service yard. So we take a scoop of salt, put it in, it knows how much water to mix with us to get us a 23% mixture, which is where we want to be.
Okay, gotcha.
And then
so it's more exact science to making the brine.
Yes. So then when one of the trucks comes in to get salt, they can load their tank up with this liquid.
Got you.
Use it as an additive to the salt. When we use it as an additive, we use less salt. Or we can put it straight into a tank and use it to, there are certain places, pre-treating roads in a city does not work as well as the interstate. Because if you think about it, on the interstate, people get on it and they drive for miles and miles. So they're just tracking it back onto itself. What happens, say if we pre-treat limestone, every time somebody turns down a side street, they track some of it with them down that side street, and it just starts to lose its effectiveness. But we have found places, some steep hills, think about Miracle Mile or the Penn Street Hill, getting some pre-treatment on those big hills can be very effective. Especially Penn Street being a north-facing hill, it doesn't see the sun.
Yeah.
So it can be very helpful in getting those treated before a salt truck has a chance to get to them.
So how many gallons does this produce an hour? This new maker. I read the stat.
You read the stat?
Yep.
What?
It's 6,000 gallons. That's a lot.
It is.
So let's put that into perspective. If in a big snow event, like how quickly would you need 6,000 gallons of brine to treat our roadways?
It would 6,000 gallons if we are just using the smaller tanks on our truck would get us through a storm.
Oh wow! So just by producing one, and that's just for 1 hour's work.
Yes. Wow. So and the nice thing is we if you can being able to do, we can store it. Right. So it takes us an hour to make 6,000 gallons, and we have it on hand. We don't have to wait and keep making. We get it made, and then as the trucks come in, they can just fill up and go.
Oh wow, that really improves efficiency. efficiency. So let's talk about how you go through the treatment process. So this goes, so you know that weather's coming in. Is that the protocol? You go and you do this pre-treatment, and now you'll do it with this new equipment.
It is going to vary by almost every single storm.
Okay.
Because, as you know, one of the things we experience a lot in our region is rain turning to snow.
Yes.
Well, if you pre-treat and it rains,
It just washes away.
it washes away. Yes. You've wasted it.
Yes, you've wasted.
So it is very specific to what we think it would be coming. If we are expecting, if they're, if every indication is we're going to get 4 or 5 inches of snow, it's going to hit hard. That is a case where we want to get very specific areas pre-treated. So if, we have some of these storms where even with a full, a full complement during a big storm would be about 17 trucks on the road. They still can't get everywhere they need to be as quick as they need to be when it's snowing at 1 inch per hour. So if there's a little pre-treatment, even if the snow accumulates, the cars won't pack it down and pack it to the road. We'll be able to scoop it up and scrape it off once we get there.
You bring a good point about like cars, because you do have to work around the conditions of people.
Yeah.
They're commuting and they're living their lives. But let's talk a little bit about what the residents can do to help our service crews in winter weather. So what are some of those key things that they can do when we know that winter weather is coming our way?
So the number one thing is give them room to work. When you see a snowplow out doing their thing, give them some space. They at times need to be able to back up to make sure they clear an intersection well, or it's important when they go through an intersection as they're doing the final cleanup to push the corners back. The only way to do that is to stop in an intersection, back up, and so give them some distance. Our snowplows are lit up enough; they're pretty easy to see.
Yeah. And large enough.
Give them that extra 1 or 2 minutes to get that intersection cleared up. If possible, if you have a driveway, park in the driveway. A road can be cleared so much better when there aren't cars on it. I know that, because I love the history of our town, but one of the downsides to the history is not every house has a driveway.
Right.
And I understand that not everybody can, but if you have a driveway, please, try to get it off the street.
Yeah, just at least until your road's clear.
Yeah. When you do shovel your car out, don't shovel the snow back into the street. Shovel it into the green space. If the times I've had to do it at home, I throw it over the sidewalk back into my yard. You don't want to throw it into the street. Good. And a lot of folks do that out of anger because their car got plowed in, and it is unfortunate. The only good place to put the snow is to the sides. That's where the cars are.
I know people sometimes get frustrated too when they feel like the snow is in their driveway because the plows are coming through, but it's just an unfortunate side effect to cleaning up the roads. I think we still rather have those roads clean though.
Yeah.
So that we can pass safely.
I live in what used to be a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
That is now more of an eyebrow because the road continues through, but there's a lot of extra pavement in front of my driveway.
Okay.
I end up with a lot of extra snow in my driveway.
It's just a byproduct of Midwest living people.
It is. And the thing is, on average, we have 15 snow events per year. Many of those aren't even plowable / shovelable, if you will.
Wow,
so
stat. We have about 15 a year.
Yeah, about 15 a year.
Wow.
And that can be a half inch.
Sure.
So we have to go, up to something that's a foot. The amount of times we actually have to shovel our drives and walk, pretty minimal.
Yes, I agree.
So, and it's part of living where we do.
Part of living where we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is great news though. This is great news for the community. Thank you and your people for trying to get this grant for so many years, and you finally got it. And it's going to be a good thing to help you guys out there getting the roads clean for us. So 6,000 gallons an hour. That's the trivia for today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and how many times have we used over 6,000?
Tons, but on my list, I see it at least 3. Yeah.
So,
it looks like we haven't done it since 2010, 2011.
So interesting though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for today. I'm sure we'll revisit this topic again over the winter. Maybe we can get an update, especially if we do have another active winter. But other than that, we'll just leave it on that. And we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Have a great day.